Hello everyone out there in YouTube land, all of my new and old subscribers alike. This is everyone's favorite jack of all trades with the foul mouth, Commodore Irving. And yeah, I'm tired, but I'm pretty okay. I started on the fourth book I own. If you remember my video a little while back, I did a video where I showed 4 books I recently acquired. One was off Amazon, the other 3 were through half price. And those 3 books, if I would have bought them through Amazon, would have cost me $110, but I paid $4.50 for them all. The last book I started working on is, of course, Shipwreck, Strange Fate of Moral Castle, and there will be a review on this when I'm done. But the book I'm going to be reviewing right now with you guys, it is this one, The Liners, A Voyage of Discovery by Rob McAuley, and the consultant was the legendary William H. Miller. And this is a Channel 4 book. So, I actually found out, it says here, says The Liners is published as a companion to the Channel 4 series The Liners, produced by RGA Films, and it shows 20 pounds. So this is a British book, and I'm guessing that Channel 4 must be a British, what you call a British network, something or whatever. Any of my viewers that might be European, if there was a documentary series called The Liners ever shown in Europe, show me something from it. Maybe, if it's on YouTube, show me, guys. I'd like to see this documentary series, The Liners. But anyway, basically this book talks about the history of the ocean liner from the very earliest days. I mean, they cover, there's 4 chapters in this book. There's the Classic Era, Chapter 1, Calms and Storms, Chapter 2, The Approach of Armageddon, Chapter 3, and The World Tour, Chapter 4. And it's about 150 some odd page book. And they go to the very, very earliest steamships. I mean, they're talking about like the steam packet Eagle, the Comet, early, the Claremont, the Charlotte Dundas, the very earliest ships. And of course they're talking about, the Savannah, and the William Falkland, the Cyrus, the Great Western. And of course they're going to talk about, the Britannia, and then they talk about, the Great Britain. I mean, it's a very detailed book. And through this book, like I said, it's very wordy. And it's very detailed history. A very detailed history of the ocean liner from the very earliest days up until when this book was published, which was 1997. So it's about a 22-year-old book. So, I mean, if the documentary is as detailed as this book is, it's probably one hell of a documentary. One hell of a documentary. And of course, if you can't have an ocean liner documentary without talking about these ladies, the Olympic and the Titanic. And I actually watched a documentary called Titanic Sinking: The Myths, which really blows a lot of shit out of water about the Titanic, and I may have to talk about that. And of course, there's Lusitania, There's a lot of stuff they talked about the Titanic and stuff that blows. It'll probably blow everything we knew about the Titanic out of the water. And I'll save that for another day, though. But like I said, this book, it just goes into detail, not just on the North Atlantic, but in the South Pacific and the Asian route, too. Talks about all the great ships that sailed, the world's oceans, including such triumphs, such as, the Normandy. She was one of the most visually attractive ships, I think, ever built. One of the most visually attractive. And of course, the stately Queen Mary. I don't know what to really say. I mean, like I said, it's a very detailed book. It goes into the details of the history, and they go in depth. And there's even interviews in this book. They've talked to not one, but several maritime historians. There's Arnold Cludas, which he's a German authority on ships. The late John Maxton Graham, the late Frank Brannard, and there's a lot of different people here. Of course, Bill Miller too. He was a consultant on the book, as well as a consultant on the documentary. Like I said, if you guys have seen the documentary, or if any of my European viewers are watching this, please tell me if there's what the fucking documentary was. I'd like to know. And of course, just I don't know really what to explain about it, but it's just like I said, it's a very descriptive book. I mean, it goes into everything, into a very detailed history on ocean liners. And of course, they do talk a little bit about my favorite ship, the SS United States. Now, like I said before, yes, the Normandy was the most visually attractive ship, but overall, the United States was the perfect ship. Yes, she's visually attractive too. She wasn't, she did have some of the styling cues from the Normandy, but I think that just, the styling of the Normandy could have fit really well with the post-war era as well, because she was so far ahead of her time. A ship like the Normandy would have fit perfectly in the time period with the United States. And of course, the Liberty, which was your pre-war Europa. And then and then also talks about the cruise ship era. Of course, there's your Madame France. She was another very lovely lady too. And of course, goes into like the Queen Elizabeth II, the original Queen Elizabeth, which she burned and was gutted in Hong Kong Harbor. And of course, it talks about cruising, the great age of the cruise ships, up into the really big super tonners. The biggest ship back in that day, in the 90s, was the 105,000 ton Grand Princess, which well known now she's not that big, because you got the Oasis Seas, the Allure of the Seas, the Symphony of the Seas, and you got that real big ass ship being built by Carnival. And of course, you have the early Disney ships, like the Disney Magic and the Disney Dream, I think, like their names are. No, Disney Wonder. Disney Magic and Disney Wonder. And of course, it talks about, the Falkland Wars and, the Canberra being used in the Falkland War conflict. And it also talks about, ship history, ocean liners today, the wreck of the Titanic, so on and so forth. And it ends on a very decent note. There's this little thing I'll read here, and I like this. And it says, when asked what he felt was the difference between the cruise ships of today and the great liners of yesterday, the maritime historian, author, and philosopher of the sea, Frank Brannard, replied, practically nothing. I love them all. They're just as good as the old ones. You don't have the three classes. Maybe you have a little less elegance, but I don't think that really is true. Why, hell's bells, I've been on all these big ones. The Salvager of the Seas and her sisters, 75,000 tons each, wonder ships. I don't take the attitude at all that things have gone down because of cruising. Instead of that, you have a tremendous new public being educated to love going on ships. You know what? Frank Brannard is right, guys. He's right. That is so true. A lot of people, including myself, way back early, I used to say, cruise ships, they were ugly, but, I've been on a couple of cruises and stuff, and seeing them and stuff. And cruise ships are just as amazing as the old ocean liners. If you really think about it, the old ocean liners, if it wasn't for them, there would be no cruise ships. So, I mean, if you look at some of the styling cues of some of them, you can see there is DNA from the older generation of passenger liners bred into the ships. And of course, you know, the end of the book, it says here, in the 20-year period, 1976 and 1996, an estimated 40 million passengers took a deepwater cruise. By the end of 2000, present growth figures indicate a yearly total of 8 million passengers will make a cruise. The age of the great passenger liners may be well over, but the era of the super cruise liners is only beginning. And of course, it leaves off with the evolution of the size and chart, and leaves off with your picture, acknowledgments, and your glossary. And that's the end of the book. So what do I think about the liners of Voyage of Discovery? I give it 2 thumbs up. I give it 5 out of 5 stars, 2 thumbs up. It's a really nice book. But I'll tell you right now, if you want to buy this book, you ain't gonna probably be lucky like I was and get it for $1.50. If you get it on Amazon, it's $40. So yeah, it's a bit pricey. I just lucked out. So I hope you guys enjoyed the review. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comment section down below and I'll get with you. And if you're new to the channel, you like what I'm doing, hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications. Become a part of my crew, and you'll know when I upload a new video. Until next time, this is Commodore Urban, saying have smooth seas and clear skies, and happy sailing with you. And God bless. You take care now. Bye-bye.